Hi, this is Brian. Welcome back to Philosopher's Notes TV. Today we've got another great book I read on Kindle, EntreLeadership by Dave Ramsey. Dave Ramsey, total money makeover, extraordinary guy who wrote this book and basically unpacked his ideas for building a successful business and enterprise like he's built, combining two words, entrepreneur and leadership. So an entrepreneur, the word comes from, I think, the French, one who takes risk. Is one who takes risk. And then a leader is obviously someone who leads people and guides people. And what he wanted to do is create an organization. He didn't want all risk takers. And he didn't want all pure just leaders and guides. He wanted a hybrid of the two, an entre-leader, one who takes risk while guiding others and leading others, EntreLeadership. So that's the basic idea. Philosopher's Note, bunch of great big ideas. And we're going to look at 5 of my favorite right now. First big idea of being an entre-leader and creating a successful business and enterprise and life is to manage activities. What does that mean, to manage activities? Well, Dave Ramsey talks about the fact that he learned that if he wanted to create results, he needed to stop focusing just on the results, and he needed to focus on the activities that led to the results. So you needed to manage the activities. You can't manage the results. You can only manage the activities that you believe will lead to the results. This is what we've been talking about a lot in different ways. So process is primary. If you've watched many of these, you've heard me say before, process is primary. I shared a story about the golfer who was so focused on the process, on the activities, on the mental and physical steps that he needed to execute, that he didn't even know that a putt he was taking on the 18th green at Torrey Pines was for $1 million. He was focused at managing activities. The results took care of themselves. We want the results to be a byproduct of our consistent mastery on the basic fundamentals, showing up and creating a masterpiece day in and day out. John Wooden style. Manage your activities. If you find yourself constantly obsessing about the results and your vision board and all this stuff, put more attention on your activities. What you're gonna do that will make the success inevitable. That's the first big idea. Second big idea is a fascinating one, pull together. So this is basically a story about synergy. Get this story. Belgian draft horses apparently are some of the strongest horses out there, maybe the strongest horses out there. One horse can pull 8,000 pounds. 8,000 pounds, that's remarkable. But here's what's cool. If you put 2 horses together and they pull together, they can pull something like 20,000 pounds or even 22,000 pounds. Wow. So one horse, 8,000, 2 horses pulling together, 20,000 or 22,000. That's impressive, right? That's an example of synergy. But here's what's fascinating. If you train those horses together, they get to know each other and they get to kind of figure out how to work together and pull together. Those 2 horses, one can pull 8,000, 2 that don't know one another can pull 20 or 22. When they've trained together, they can pull over 30,000 pounds. That's amazing. And Dave uses this as an example of how we need to pull together, whether it's a team that we have at work, if we're entrepreneurs or leaders or managers, or at home or both. Every aspect of our lives, how do we pull together? How do we attune to one another such that when we come together, 1 + 1 equals more than 2? There's a synergistic effect there, right? Remember that, pull together. If you can get aligned and you can be training together with people you love and admire and respect, and you can do extraordinary things, way more than you could do if you had 1 + 1 separate. 1 + 1 equals oftentimes more than 3. Big stuff. Pull together, second big idea. The third big idea is visioneering. Visioneering. So Dave talks about the importance of vision and shares a story about a book, Visioneering, where the author says that you need to share your vision 21 times. 21 times before anyone really starts to hear it and get it. 21 times, that's nuts. You need to constantly be sharing your vision of what you want to create in your life. Again, whether that's with your team or your family, be a visioneer. Be working on that. And then you need to realize that you're your number one audience. You can't just have a New Year's resolution of, yeah, this is the vision for my life. This is what I want to create in 2015 or 16 or whatever it is, right? And then forget about it. You've got to visionary yourself. You've got to remind yourself what your values are, what your vision is, what your ideals are, and what you're going to do, what activities you're going to manage such that you can live into that vision. Say it again and again and again. And each time it gets a little bit deeper and it gets a little bit more refined. And of course, over time, gets more sophisticated and nuanced. You learn what works, what doesn't, etc. But remember, you need to have a ton of impressions of your vision in order to see it come together, obviously, and just for people to get it and for you to get it and to get really bought in. Visioneering, big idea. Next big idea, our fourth one, you need to decide. At the end of the day, we're not always going to have obvious solutions, but we can't just sit there wringing our hands and being all nervous and anxious and putting off making decisions. He talks about William Wallace, Braveheart. You know that scene where he's rallying his troops, right? Just amazingly inspiring. Well, imagine if he was, instead of saying, this is what we're going to do, we're going to fight for our freedom, if he was hemming and hawing and looking down and kind of kicking the dirt, and I'm not sure, well, I kind of like the idea of fighting for our freedom, but we might die. That would suck. There's no power to that. There's no mojo to that. There's no vitality to that. The word decide comes from the Latin to cut. To cut. You're cutting off all other options. Decide. George Patton, the general, said, a poor plan or a reasonably good plan, violently executed today is better than a perfect plan executed in a week. Get in the habit of making decisions and taking action. And you're able to do that when you aren't so afraid of making mistakes. It doesn't matter. Be in the game. Ready, fire, aim is something I picked up from John Mackey of Whole Foods, one of my mentors and friends. Ready, fire, aim. And then I interviewed him a couple years ago. And I said, hey, tell me about Ready, Fire, Aim, because that was really helpful for me when I was, recovering as a perfectionist. And he laughed and he said, actually, I prefer fire, ready, aim whenever possible. Fire, ready, aim. Most of us go ready, aim, not quite perfect. Aim, and we never fire. So there's ready, fire, aim. You get in the game. Oh, wait, first shot was a little bit too far to the left. Fine, correct it. Next shot's a little too far to the right. Fine, correct it. But you're in the game. If you're shooting. If you're not, then you're never learning. So make a decision, go for it, and then adjust. Decide. Let go of your fear of failure, and you're going to be more confident in making decisions. Not a big deal. That's our fourth big idea. The fifth one, what is that? 15 years equals overnight success. 15 years. So Dave tells a story. He has a radio show which is extraordinarily popular. And he won a Marconi Award, which is the equivalent of an Oscar or a Grammy for radio. So his radio show is best in the world, literally. And he's best in the country, however they rate that. He was doing the math on it, and he realized he'd been working on it for 15 years. 15 years, and then he won this Marconi Award. He did the math, and he realized he had put in 10,000 hours. Over 10,000 hours over those 15 years. So we've been talking about this in the talent code. Talent is overrated, mindset, that the greatest performers put in a ton of energy. They're not born that way. Was Dave Ramsey born a Marconi winning radio show host? No, he might have had some latent talent there, but he worked furiously hard to put that in place over a long period of time. Again, the researchers say 4 hours a day, 5 days a week, it's 20 hours a week, times 50 weeks in a year, 1,000 hours, times 10 years equals 10,000 hours. It's extraordinary. And then he joked, he said, look, I was a 15-year overnight success, 10,000 hours later. Now again, to put in that much effort, you need to love what you do. He obviously loves what he does. Gazelle-like intensity is what he brings to his life as an EntreLeader. So think about how you can bring that to your life. And I hope you enjoyed a quick look at these 5 big ideas. Put in the effort. Make a decision. Not a big deal. Make little decisions. Get in the habit of making little decisions. Start with things like in your email. We talk about this in Inbox Zero. If you've got 1,000 emails in your inbox, that's saying a lot of things, but it's really saying you're not making decisions. You look at an email and you got to say yes or no or maybe or later or whatever, and you avoid it. Get in the habit of making tiny little micro decisions so you can make the bigger ones with more grace and poise and ease. Visioneering. Tell yourself your vision again and again and again. Tell your team the vision again and again and again. Be a visioneer. Pull together. Remember those Belgian draft horses, 8,000 pounds for one. 2 can do 20,000 or 22,000 pounds. Amazing. 2 train together, who pull together as a team, as a unit, can do over 30,000 pounds. So get that synergy in your life, deepen relationships, and pull together. Support other people, have their support, do amazing things, and then manage activities. Remember, the results are a byproduct of what you're doing. So identify what you need to do. How do you create a perfect day? How do you make today a masterpiece? You line up enough of those days and your results are going to take care of themselves. There you go. EntreLeadership. Hope you enjoyed. Look forward to sharing more with you soon. Have another awesome day. See you.